pa 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 ella, pa 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 ella, pa pa pa
Hello and welcome. So glad you can join us for the very first installment of Locally New England, a show that is committed to bringing local lifestyle insights, marquee events, and business profiles, highlighting the culture that makes Rhode Island and New England such a special place to live. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
And I'm Joe Guarnieri, and we are so happy to be your guides for the next 30 minutes. There's so many great stories that we'll be featuring, so sit back and enjoy the ride.
First up, we visit A1 Roofing and Construction. A1 has been in business since 2007 and has always played a vital role in the communities that they serve.
Since starting in 2007, A1 Roofing and Construction has always placed an emphasis on community involvement and support. Whether it's an individual senior needing a new roof or creating a learning center for First Tee Rhode Island at A1's headquarters in Middletown, A1 has always been there helping others. It's about choosing business partners that hold community involvement as important as you do. That's why A1 Roofing and Construction has GAF North America as their principal supplier of roofing materials, as well as their community partner. A1 and GAF are making the difference with Newport County's Church Community Housing Corporation. Church Community Housing is there to help deserving families with housing and existing housing rehabilitation or needs.
The people we serve it's a part of the population that if it wasn't for programs like this, they probably would lose their house.
Church Community identified a family in Portsmouth who had done so much for so many, but unfortunately, their home needed extensive rehabilitation.
She was in a really tough situation. So when John at Church Community reached out to us, we were more than happy to help and contribute. And then that started the ball rolling. I took it from there, reached out to GAF, and then with our resources and GAF combined, we've made that project come to fruition.
Our slogan is actually, we protect what matters most. The first protection that you have at your house is your roof. So I think GAF, for as long as I've been with this company, I've seen that firsthand, that we try to protect truly what matters most, and obviously a lot of that has to do with the community as well.
Makes a huge difference to us because we're always trying to see how we can get this done for people, and this was one of those cases where we didn't have an answer for how we were going to get all these things done, but we were able to through the generosity of Sean and his team and GAF, and did fantastic.
Our company culture here at A1 is that we'll give until it hurts. And we truly live by that. When we can help, we help.
We're truly honored to have partnerships like we do in the community with contractors like A1.
There's a reason people use A1 Roofing and Construction on their projects, and it's more than just a roof.
Coming up next on Locally New England, we discuss workers' compensation with attorney Stephen Dennis. Stay tuned. Locally New England is brought to you by Charahoe Furniture, beautifully crafted American-made home furnishings. First Hyundai, North Attleboro. Save every day at First Hyundai. And Some Pump Geeks. We service all brands. Welcome back to Locally New England. We have the pleasure of being in the studio today with attorney Stephen Dennis, our legal expert, here to provide some advice and insight into workers' compensation. Thanks so much for being on the show. All right, so let's dive right into this. The million-dollar question for people who don't know, because it's a little fuzzy. What exactly is workers' compensation?
I don't know if it's a million-dollar question, but
I call it that today.
it's a wage replacement system designed to get benefits to injured workers quickly for medical benefits, weekly benefits, scarring, loss of use, and retraining, also death benefits if someone passes away. So The injured worker gives up their common law rights for pain and suffering, but they get these in return very quickly.
Interesting. So you have to get hurt on the job, is that correct?
On the job in the course of employment. And it's a very fast system. We can be in court in about 21 days, and that's a big thing for injured workers who are suffering.
So I understand that, like, establishing the injury, and what does that mean specifically for if somebody does get hurt? What's their time period as to when they should say something?
Well, it means liability, which a lot of people don't know what that term means, but it means accepting responsibility forever and all time. So it used to be a 3-year statute of limitations. Now it's a 2-year statute of limitations. Very quick time period. And Massachusetts has a 4-year statute of limitations, so it's something you have to jump on very quickly. 2 years goes by super fast.
Right.
What if it's a serious injury, though, and you can't or don't have the means to file a claim because maybe you're incapacitated?
You call me or any other lawyer. We don't cost any money. We get paid by winning. I tell my clients I'm a hunter. I eat what I kill.
Oh, gosh.
So, not to be too cliche about it, but we get paid on reverse attorney's fee provision, which means when we get liability or establish liability, the court orders the employer to pay us or their insurance company, or if we settle a case, we're entitled to 20%. So we work for free basically in the hopes of getting paid. And it's designed that way because injured workers cannot afford to hire an attorney unless there is some sort of reverse attorney's fee provision.
Right. So what are some of the pitfalls that a worker walks into?
Well, a lot of it's just ignorance, not knowing what's going on and whether they're entitled to see their physician the first time. They are the first time. They're entitled to see whoever they want. An emergency room does not count. The second time, though, they have to go into the employer or the insurer's network, if there is one. Not all employers have them. If you have an insurance company, there's a placard on the wall in the break room. They're supposed to be telling you this right and tell you what insurance you have. But the best thing to do is get an attorney who does it on a regular basis.
So you're saying that you can see your regular doctor for this?
You can, but if you see one of the employer's doctors and you see them again a second time, that becomes your physician. And then when you would want to shift away from that person because they may not seem to be in your best interest, if the employer or the insurance company has filed a preferred provider network with the Department of Labor and with the Department of Business Regulations and the court, then you have to shift to one of their doctors, and they're usually more conservative than some of the other doctors you might choose.
Interesting.
A lot of pitfalls.
And so how, once all this is established, how do they collect?
How do they collect? Well, they have to wait 21 days from the date of injury. They can file a petition, hopefully have a medical attached with it, and then they get a judge to hear them, and the judge will order them to be placed on comp. The employer can actually file something called a memorandum of agreement and accept responsibility. It's really kind of misnamed. It probably should be called Declaration of Acceptance of the Injury Forever and All Time, something simple, but it's, for historical reasons, it's kind of convoluted and confusing. But they could do that, but many employers don't do that, many insurers don't do that. They file something called a non-prejudicial agreement, another confusing term that confuses a lot of injured workers.
Okay, you said it right there, a confusing term. It is. What is that?
So it's a piece of paper. In my mind, it's not worth the paper it's written on. It allows an employer to investigate the claim. It just so happens that the investigation is about 13 weeks. Probably 90% of all injuries are resolved before 13 weeks. Injured workers don't understand the provisos written in the form, don't understand that there's not an acceptance of liability, don't understand because they paid them weekly benefits, don't understand that they paid them medical benefits during this time period, that it's not an accepted claim. So a lot of times they haven't seen an attorney like me. A year and 3 quarters roll by and they've blown their statute of limitations. They go back to the employer 2 years and 1 day later and say, you know, that back injury I had is hurting again. My doctor now says I need surgery, they say tough luck. You missed
Oh
your 2-year time
boy.
period.
See, we have so much to talk about here, but we've got to wrap up this
you have a
segment.
claim?
But thankfully, I know. Thankfully, you're coming back on our next show.
Yes,
So
of
we're going to
course,
dive
of
into
course,
this a
of
little
course,
bit more because I want to ask you about Mother Nature and how Mother Nature plays into these claims as well. So thank you so much, Stephen. And once again, please join us for part 2 of this discussion about workers' compensation on our next show. And of course, for the very best in legal advice and representation, be sure to contact Stephen's office at 401-453-1355 or via his website, StephenJDennis.com.
When we get back, we'll take a look at local New England pirate history with local historian Luca Rebasini. All next on Locally New England. Welcome back to Locally New England. When you think about New England, you think usually the Patriots, but what about pirates? Here with us today, we have Luca Rebasini, renowned pirate historian, to talk about the history of pirates in New England. Welcome.
All right, Luca, this is so interesting. I love how you have such a passion for pirates. How did this develop, and what made you want to learn more about it?
Well, excellent question. I'm a teacher. I love to read, and just one book led to another. I said, what's cool? Pirates are cool. And just one book led to another. And
Really?
a buddy of mine works in a library, and he got me into doing a speech there, and just one after another, 2 years later, here we are.
And you're a teacher, and so your kids must love this.
Really cool topics. They get all excited about the pirates.
And speaking of that,
Yeah, so I see that you brought a few props with you here today, and speaking of that, weapons. What do we have here? What are we looking at?
So first,
anybody trust me with this?
sure thing. So
That's kind of scary. All right, here, you do it.
sure thing. So what this is a cutlass, also called a hanger.
Yikes!
So it's
at
basically a play on the French rapier design. And you couldn't have a great big sword on board a ship. You have the holds, which are very, very tight, tiny spaces. Ship's moving. You can't have this great big sword. So you got to have something small, quick, and fast
Whoa.
to move in.
Yikes.
with that.
That's a real sword, isn't it?
Yes.
So you don't play games with that one?
No.
No. All right.
And this one is a replica. This is a flintlock pistol, replica of it. Blackbeard, for example, would carry anywhere between 6 to 8 of these. It would vary in caliber, about 50 to 69 caliber, have an effective range of roughly 20-ish yards.
Where did he keep them all?
Across his chest and in the waistband, and it would be probably take about 15, 20
Oh my
seconds to...
gosh. Oh, okay. All right. You're weapons and me.
The sound guy. Sorry about that.
Oh, but okay. So I know there were some local pirates who were pretty famous
Yes.
going back 1600s, 1700s. Why did they get into being pirates? And tell us about them.
Well, being a pirate, first of all, you're an outlaw. You're a criminal. And my presentations and what I do is basically what I call what they don't teach you in school. Being a pirate was an outlaw way of life, and being a pirate by definition is just stealing on the water. Murder not necessary, but stealing on the water, that basically is what makes you a pirate. Some local pirates, we have 2 main ones in particular from Rhode Island. We have a guy called Thomas Tew, and another guy, Palsgrave Williams. Thomas Tew was around 1692 to 1695. He does 2 trips over to the Red Sea, steals a bunch of treasure on the first one, is very popular in Newport, Rhode Island, very friendly with the governor of New York at the time, Benjamin Fletcher. Actually cost the guy his job for being friends with a pirate. And then ends up on the second trip going after one of the biggest hauls that he could have had, but he ends up dying on that trip. He gets hit with a cannonball on one of the opening shots of the battle.
This is his flag?
That would be his. That would be his flag.
His pirate flag.
So if you saw that
that would be his
coming in the
ensign.
water, you would what? Get out of Dodge?
You would run away. Yes, that would be the
Start
smart move.
handing over your gold and jewels.
Yeah,
and
here you go. Just take it. Let's take it.
The other guy was Palsgrave Williams. He's the guy who teamed up with a very famous pirate in the area called Sam Bellamy. Now, Palsgrave Williams was from Newport, Rhode Island. Then he moved out to Block Island at the age of 11 after his father passed and his mother married his father's friend, who was dealing in criminal activity. But they end up teaming up and become pirates after a salvage expedition to Florida fails. In 1715, a Spanish treasure fleet wrecks and ends up spilling gold all over the ocean floor.
Whoa.
They go to pick that up, but they miss it. It gets picked clean before then, so they turn pirate, so they don't come home like failures. But after a year of attacks, more than 50 ships and estimates range anywhere between 120 million to 200 million worth of stolen treasure, a very sizable haul between the two of them. They end up become very successful pirates. Bellamy dies at the age of 28, and Palsgrave escapes.
Whoa! I love this. This is so intriguing to learn about this. And I know you have a lot of events coming up this summer and fall, don't you?
Yes. A lot of speaking engagements, a bunch of kids' activities as well, with different libraries, yacht clubs, things like that, organizations, you name it, I do it.
Wow. When is the next event that people should be aware of and put on their calendars? Because I'm sure this is great, not just for kids, but for adults too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The smiles on people's faces, kids, adults, everybody in between.
Yeah.
July 18th, we have Woonsocket Public Library. We also have the 28th of August at Seekonk, 24th of September in Barrington, October 2nd in Madison, Connecticut, and October 15th in Jewett City, Connecticut as well.
Wow.
Road trip.
Road trip.
So,
we need to do that.
Very interstate now.
Yes, and before we go, you have one more thing you wanted to hold up over there, right? Don't you have a flag?
Oh, yes, that was...
Where's that flag?
was,
Somebody quick, bring it on set. Somebody quick. This is what happens. Oh my gosh.
It's so nice to find out what these different types of pirates say, because we don't learn that in school.
So another thing about school that they don't teach you is this. With the flag, it was called the Jolly Roger. You also get to hoist the black flag, everything like that. You might know the black flag, the pirate ship flying the black flag.
All right.
But they were originally called Jolly Rogers after the French Joli Rouge, happy red.
Wow.
So they were originally red and switched to black later on. And
good stuff. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Interesting stuff there.
That was fun. We appreciate you coming in.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Mental health services are in more need than ever today, and sometimes it can be difficult navigating all the providers who are out there.
Rhode Island Counseling Associates has taken steps to help their clients find the treatment that they need and provide several resources on site to get them on the road to wellness.
What started the whole concept of Rhode Island Counseling Associates was the idea that we wanted to create an organization, a place where people could come from the community, where they could receive different services that they might need under one roof, so that they could hopefully experience better outcomes than they would if they were to just be doing one service or another at various locations.
In the past, I used to have patients who would have struggles finding a place to meet counselors, therapists. So meeting with Jeremy was the greatest opportunity to then find and build our own practice. That way people can find places much quicker, within 2 weeks or less, compared to other practices where generally around 6-month waiting lists.
So when you come in here, you are not just getting one services, whether it's just med management or just counseling alone. We do it together. We integrate both cares together, and we communicate amongst ourselves. And so if you're dealing with a provider who is doing med management, they will be able to correlate or communicate with your psychotherapist as well, so we can give you the broader services that you need. We put them all together so that way you get the full benefits of care.
So this is Angel Raphael for Healing. He is a psychiatric service dog, and he comes to work every day. My clients love him. He loves the clients. He loves coming to work. He's very intuitive. He goes up to the client. He really makes them feel connected with him. He makes them feel like, I'm here to soothe, I'm here to just be here, present. The clients feel very comfortable with him. They feel very loved by him.
So this is Aurora. She's my emotional support animal. For a long time, I never thought about getting an emotional support animal. I didn't think I would need an emotional support animal. In talking with Annie during counseling, he thought I would benefit from having one. She comes with me to all my sessions. Annie loves her. Everybody here loves her, actually. I think she's more popular here than I am. When I first started here, I had severe insomnia, very serious anxiety problems, depression. They helped me with, learning different ways to handle my anxiety. They're there to help, and you know that from the day you have your intake.
We feel it's important for each patient to know that they are going to be placed with the correct provider and the correct therapist. So if a patient comes in and they're really nervous, I know they're going to be comfortable because I'll have, my front desk will go and sit with them in the waiting room and make them feel more comfortable. If something's making them nervous, we'll sit down and try to talk to them and figure out why and what they're nervous about.
We also want to make sure that we include some of the things that causes barriers in people seeking mental health. So we make sure that we cover language, so we do have individuals who have other language skills such as Spanish, Portuguese. We have different kinds of providers who have different ethical backgrounds, from being African, Spanish, Italian. We have it all. And so they have some commonalities with them, and it makes it very easy for them to proceed and build a rapport, and also to help them get the help that they are seeking.
We cater to people from a wide background in terms of where they're coming from to hopefully create sort of a better fit and help us find that space that really works for them so they can make the connections that they need to get the help that they're looking for. It's really a collaborative environment. It's a little bit of you and it's a little bit of me. So you're going to come to me and you're going to tell me about the things that are going on in your life, and I'm going to share some of the skills that I've learned in a supportive and compassionate way, and we're going to work together based on where you are at any given time to sort of create a process that gives you an outcome that you're looking for, hopefully improves your life in the long term.
I think it's important for people, women, men, to feel like they have a place they can come to. Feel safe, feel like they can share their story, feel heard, not be shamed, or, any of those thoughts out there that, well, no one else is going through this, it must be me. No, you're important. What's happening to you right now in your life is important, and we're here to serve you.
Well, Joe, that'll do it for our very first episode of Locally New England, and we hope you had just as much fun as we did.
It's going to get more exciting, too.
I know, and I love highlighting everything this region has to offer. We both love this, so please join us next time for the next episode of Locally New England. Locally New England is brought to you by Charahoe Furniture, beautifully crafted American-made home furnishings. First Hyundai, North Attleboro. Save every day at First Hyundai. And Sump Pump Geeks. We service all brands.